Welcome back to our channel, Soap Fans. Today is a beautiful day to dive into the most explosive, jaw-dropping drama Los Angeles has ever seen. The stakes have never been higher, and we have the exclusive breakdown of a storyline that will change everything. Let's get right into the madness. The neon lights of the bikini bar flicker over a scene straight out of a nightmare. The music has stopped. The laughter has died. In its place is the deafening silence of a tragedy that will shatter the foundations of Los Angeles forever. A collision of fate, unchecked rage, and high-stakes consequences has finally reached its cataclysmic boiling point. R.J. Forrester is dead. The golden boy of the Forrester dynasty lies motionless on the cold, unforgiving floor of the bikini bar, a pool of blood framing his lifeless body. And sitting beside him, unconscious, drenched in the blood of his bitter rival, is Will Spencer. The Spencer heir sought oblivion at the bottom of a bottle to drown the agony of losing Electra Forrester. Instead, he has woken up in the middle of a slaughter. The flashing red and blue lights of the LAPD cut through the darkness, signaling the end of an era and the beginning of a blood feud. Will Spencer is dragged from the scene in handcuffs, his mind a foggy, tequila-soaked blur. He cannot remember the final hours of the night. He cannot remember how he ended up on the floor. He only knows the blinding flash of police cameras and the cold steel biting into his wrists. For the detectives on the scene, this is not a mystery. It is an open and shut case wrapped in a neat, violent bow. The circumstantial evidence is absolutely damning. Will has a documented, public history of explosive violence against the victim. The police do not have to look far to establish a motive and a pattern of unhinged aggression. Just days ago, Will Spencer launched a brutal physical assault on R.J. Forrester, a violent shoving match that escalated into a full-blown brawl. Worse still, in a moment of blind, reckless fury, Will swung his fists and struck the patriarch of the Forrester family, Eric Forrester, leaving the elderly fashion icon battered on the floor. The LAPD sees a young, entitled billionaire with a lethal temper, a broken heart, and a vendetta. They see a boy who finally made good on his violent threats. The arrest is immediate, brutal, and highly publicized. Will Spencer is officially booked for the murder of R.J. Forrester. But the Los Angeles Police Department is dead wrong. Will Spencer is not a murderer. He is the perfect, convenient patsy. The real killer is hiding in plain sight, standing in the shadows of the Forrester Creations design room, wearing a mask of grief to conceal a twisted, triumphant smirk. Zen Forrester Dominguez is the architect of this bloodbath. The quiet, overlooked, and consistently sidelined cousin has finally snapped. Zen did not just cross a line. He obliterated it, plunging a knife into the back of his own family to reclaim the throne he believes is rightfully his. To understand this horrific betrayal, you must look at the years of festering resentment that have poisoned Zen's soul. For years, Zen played the good soldier. He poured his blood, sweat, and tears into Forrester Creations, waiting patiently for his moment in the sun. But every single time he reached for the crown, it was snatched away and handed to R.J. Forrester. R.J. the golden boy. R.J. the anointed son of Ridge and Brook. When Eric Forrester returned to the helm, he did not look to Zen to carry his legacy. He looked to R.J. Zen was forced to watch as R.J. was handed the lead designer position on a silver platter, basking in Eric's blatant, unapologetic favoritism. The shelving of the Hope for the Future line was the final, agonizing nail in the coffin of Zen's sanity. His designs, his hard work, his entire creative identity were tossed into the garbage to make room for Eric and RJ's couture triumph. Zen was relegated to the background, a glorified assistant in his own family's empire. The psychological break was inevitable. The rage simmering beneath his calm exterior boiled over into a lethal, calculated frenzy. Zen realized that as long as R.J. Forrester drew breath, Zen would never be anything more than second best. The golden boy had to die. Zen's execution of the crime was a masterclass in ruthless precision. He knew Will Spencer was spiraling. He knew Will was drinking himself into a stupor at the bikini bar, completely destroyed by Elektra's rejection. Zen tracked RJ to the location, waiting for the perfect moment when the neon lights flickered and the crowds thinned. The confrontation was swift, silent, and deadly. Zen struck down his cousin in cold blood, feeling the rush of ultimate power as RJ fell. But Zen is not just a murderer. He is a brilliant, diabolical strategist. He dragged the blackout drunk Will Spencer to the scene, smearing RJ's blood on Will's hands and clothes, staging the perfect frame job before slipping away into the night. The gruesome details of the crime scene at the bikini bar read like a macabre script written by a psychopath. The scuffle left a trail of destruction, a desperate struggle for survival against an attacker RJ likely trusted right up until the fatal blow was struck. Zen, fueled by years of pent-up, venomous jealousy, overpowered his younger cousin with a terrifying, adrenaline-fueled strength. He didn't just want RJ dead. He wanted him erased. And once the deed was done, Zen's cold, calculating intellect took over. He found Will Spencer passed out in a booth, oblivious to the world. Zen dragged Will's limp body across the floor, pressing Will's fingers against the murder weapon. It was a masterpiece of forensic manipulation, designed to hand the LAPD a suspect on a silver platter. Across town, the ringing of a telephone shatters the silence of the Spencer estate. Bill Spencer, the ruthless titan of industry, wakes up to the most devastating news a father can ever receive. His son is behind bars, charged with the murder of a forester. But Dollar Bill does not break down in tears. He goes to war. The billionaire mogul immediately mobilizes the full, terrifying weight of the Spencer empire. He is hiring the most vicious, high-priced defense attorneys in the country. He is buying private investigators, forensic experts, and anyone who can punch a hole in the LAPD's narrative. Bill Spencer knows the optics are catastrophic. He knows the public remembers Will's violent outbursts. He knows the Forrester family will demand a public execution. But Bill does not care about optics, and he certainly does not care about Forrester grief. He cares about his cub. Bill will burn Los Angeles to the ground, salt the earth, and bankrupt his own company if it means keeping Will out of a prison cell. He is frantically pulling every string, calling in every favor, and unleashing a tidal wave of Spencer money to bulldoze the prosecution. Dollar Bill is on the warpath, and heaven help anyone who stands in his way. Bill Spencer's legal war room looks like the command center of a military operation. Dollar Bill has summoned the most ruthless defense attorneys on the West Coast. He is not just preparing a defense. He is preparing an offensive strike against the LAPD, the district attorney, and the Forrester family. Bill is authorizing millions of dollars in private investigative funds. He demands a complete reconstruction of the crime scene. He wants every second of security footage from the bikini bar and the surrounding blocks analyzed frame by agonizing frame. He wants the backgrounds of every patron, every bartender, and every police officer on the scene scrubbed for leverage. Bill knows that to save his son, he has to find the real killer, or at the very least, create a smokescreen of reasonable doubt so massive it chokes the prosecution. The grief inside the Forrester mansion is a visceral, suffocating blanket of agony. Rich Forrester has lost his son. The roaring lion of the fashion world has been brought to his knees, shattered by a pain so profound it defies language. He has to look at Brooke, the mother of his murdered boy, and tell her that their golden child is never coming home. The wails of despair echoing through the halls of Forrester Creations will haunt this family for generations. But in the soap opera world, grief is a fleeting emotion, rapidly replaced by a blinding, venomous thirst for vengeance. Ridge Forrester wipes his tears and hardens his heart into a weapon of mass destruction. He has absolutely zero doubt in his mind that Will Spencer is the monster who slaughtered his boy. Ridge remembers Will's threats. He remembers Will's fists connecting with RJ's face. He remembers while striking his elderly father. To Ridge, this is not a tragedy. It is an assassination orchestrated by a feral, out-of-control Spencer. Ridge makes a blood oath over his son's grave. He will see Will Spencer rot in a maximum security prison for the rest of his natural life. He will use every ounce of Forrester influence, every media connection, and every political favor to ensure Will never sees the light of day. This is no longer a fashion rivalry. This is a scorched earth blood feud. Bill Spencer and Ridge Forrester are on a direct, high-speed collision course, and the collateral damage will be catastrophic. Two billionaires, two patriarchs, two desperate fathers willing to cross any legal, moral, or ethical boundary to destroy the other. Ridge wants Will's head on a spike. Bill wants Ridge's empire reduced to ashes. The boardrooms of Forrester Creations and Spencer Publications have been transformed into war rooms. The media is circling like vultures, feeding on the most sensational murder scandal in the history of the city. To fully grasp the magnitude of this impending war, one must look back at the decades of bad blood between Ridge Forrester and Bill Spencer. These two titans have clashed over women, over companies, and over pride for longer than anyone can remember. Ridge once threw Bill off a balcony in a fit of unhinged rage. Bill has manipulated, blackmailed, and strong-armed the Forresters at every turn. But all of their past skirmishes were mere child's play compared to this. This is not about a fashion line or a corporate takeover. This is about blood. This is about a murdered son. The historical hatred between these two patriarchs is the gasoline, and RJ's murder is the match. The resulting explosion will leave a crater in the center of the Los Angeles fashion industry. There will be no negotiations, no peace treaties, and no mercy. Caught in the crossfire of this apocalyptic war is Electra Forrester. The young woman is living in a waking nightmare, paralyzed by a trauma that is entirely unimaginable. She is the nexus of this tragedy. RJ, the boy who fought for her, who offered her a new beginning, is dead. While the boy she loved, the boy whose heart she broke, is sitting in a jail cell accused of the slaughter. Electra is drowning in an ocean of guilt. Did her rejection push Will over the edge? Did her presence in RJ's life paint a target on his back? Every tear she sheds is a reminder of the lethal consequences of this toxic love triangle. The patriarch, Eric Forrester, is forced to bear a burden no grandfather should ever have to carry. He is still recovering from the physical trauma of Will's punch, nursing a bruised jaw, only to be struck by an emotional blow that threatens to end his life. Eric favored RJ. Eric mentored RJ. Eric saw the future of his entire legacy in RJ's eyes. Now, that future has been violently ripped away. The guilt consumes him. If he had not favored RJ, if he had not pushed Will away, would this have happened? The legacy of Forrester Creations is now permanently drenched in the blood of its brightest star. And through it all, Zend Forrester Dominguez plays the role of the grieving cousin to absolute perfection. He offers a comforting shoulder to Ridge. He holds Eric's hand as the old man weeps. He steps up to take the reins of the design department, seamlessly sliding into the position RJ left vacant. It is a sick, twisted victory. Zend is finally the lead designer. He is finally the center of attention. He is finally getting the respect he believes he was denied. He walks the halls of Forrester Creations with a dark, hidden triumph, reveling in the chaos he has unleashed. But beneath Zend's mask of mourning lies a fractured, terrifying psychological landscape. He tells himself that this was justice. He rationalizes the slaughter by convincing himself that Eric and Ridge forced his hand. In Zend's twisted reality, he is the victim who finally stood up to his oppressors. He believes he is simply correcting a cosmic mistake, restoring the natural order of the Forrester dynasty where talent and loyalty are rewarded over pure nepotism. Yet, the ghost of RJ Forrester will not be easily silenced. Every time Zend picks up a sketch pad, every time he sits in the lead designer's chair, he will feel the phantom weight of his cousin's blood on his hands. The paranoia will slowly seep into his bones. He will jump at every shadow, second-guess every conversation, and watch Bill Spencer's relentless investigation with mounting, suffocating terror. Inside his concrete cell, while Spencer is fighting a losing battle against his own mind. The blackout is a terrifying void. He knows he hated RJ. He knows he wanted to hurt him. The police have shown him the photos, his hands covered in RJ's blood. The terrifying seed of doubt begins to take root in Will's fractured psyche. Did he do it? Did he lose control and cross the ultimate line? Without his memory, Will is defenseless against the crushing weight of the accusations. He is a boy trapped in a cage, waiting for a father's money to save him from crime he isn't even sure he didn't commit. The interrogation room at the LAPD precinct is a cold, sterile box designed to break a man's spirit. Will Spencer sits under the harsh fluorescent lights, his hands trembling, his designer clothes stained with a nightmare he cannot comprehend. The detectives are relentless. They slam photos of RJ's battered body onto the metal table. They recount the witness testimonies from the Bikini Bar brawl days prior. They remind Will of the exact words he screamed when he threatened RJ. They detail the moment Will's fist connected with Eric Forster's jaw. The narrative they are spinning is airtight, brutal, and utterly convincing. They want a confession. They want Will to admit that in a drunken, heartbroken rage, he crossed the line from rival to murderer. But Will has nothing to give them but terrified, hyperventilating confusion. He pleads his innocence to a room that has already convicted him. Katie Logan Spencer is a mother pushed to the absolute brink. She refuses to believe her son is a murderer. She stands shoulder to shoulder with Bill, putting aside their past differences to form an impenetrable wall of defense around their boy. Katie is leveraging every media contact she has, attempting to spin the narrative, desperately trying to remind the public that Will is a victim of a rush to judgment. But the court of public opinion has already slammed the gavel. To the world, Will is a spoiled, violent brat who threw a lethal tantrum. Steffi Forrester Finnegan is a woman possessed by vengeance. She has lost her brother, and she will not rest until the Spencer family is utterly annihilated. Steffi is demanding that the LAPD expedite the investigation. She is pushing the district attorney to seek the maximum penalty. She is using the Forrester PR machine to paint Will as a remorseless monster. Steffi's rage is a blazing inferno, and she is willing to burn down the entire city if it means getting justice for RJ. The lines between business and family have been permanently erased. But Zen's perfect crime is a ticking time bomb. In Los Angeles, secrets do not stay buried forever. The guilt, the paranoia, the sheer weight of maintaining this horrific lie will begin to eat away at Zen's sanity. He left a trail. There is always a trail. A piece of fabric, a misplaced security camera, a witness who saw a shadow slipping out the back door of the Bikini Bar. Zen thinks he has won the ultimate game of chess, but he has merely set the stage for his own spectacular, devastating downfall. When the truth finally comes to light, the fallout will be of biblical proportions. This is the ultimate showdown. The Forrester and Spencer dynasties are locked in a death spiral, tearing each other apart piece by piece. A father fighting to save his son's life against a father fighting to avenge his son's death. A killer hiding in plain sight, reaping the rewards of his slaughter. A young woman shattered by the crossfire. The stakes have never been higher, the emotions have never been more raw, and the drama is only just beginning. The streets of Los Angeles will run red with the fallout of this cataclysmic betrayal. Will Zen's perfect frame job hold, or will Dollar Bill uncover the bloody truth? Next, the collision was absolute, inevitable, and devastating. You cannot mix Spencer blood, Forrester pride, and Logan history without someone eventually catching fire. The moment Katie Logan stepped through the heavy oak doors of the Forrester mansion, she was not walking into a family home. She was walking into a firing squad. This was the climax of a war that has been brewing for weeks. A war fought on runways, in boardrooms, and now in the blood-stained trenches of family loyalty. The stakes have never been higher. The consequences have never been more severe. Brooke Logan has not just crossed a line. She has obliterated it. The ultimate betrayal unfolding right now is not about fashion. It is not about stolen designs, corporate espionage, or PR disasters. It is about a mother's primal instinct colliding with a sister's ruthless ego. Brooke Logan has weaponized family unity to demand an unnatural, sickening sacrifice. The Forrester-Logan War just claimed its biggest casualty yet, and the fallout will shatter this family forever. Katie Logan arrived at the Forrester estate with one mission: peace. She did not come armed with Spencer lawyers. She did not come with Bill's billions. She came as a mother, desperate to de-escalate a feud that had turned violently out of control. She stepped into the sprawling living room, and the air instantly turned to ice. The hostility was thick enough to choke on. Waiting for her was a tribunal of absolute fury. Ridge Forrester stood tall, his jaw tight, his eyes burning with the memory of the chaos at Bikini Bar. Beside him, Brooke Logan looked less like a sister and more like a feral predator ready to strike. Donna Logan hovered nervously, her usual bubbly demeanor replaced by a cold, protective glare. And sitting there, nursing the physical and emotional bruises of a humiliating week, was Eric Forrester. The patriarch, the man Katie once looked up to, the man who had abandoned her at Logan Designs without a second thought. Katie took a breath. She looked at the faces of the people she once called family. She came to apologize for her son. She came to take accountability for Will Spencer's fists. Ridge did not even let her speak. He immediately moved to kick her out. The dressmaker had zero patience for a Spencer apology. He pointed to the door, demanding she leave before the situation escalated into another physical altercation. Brooke backed her husband instantly. She flanked Ridge, her voice dripping with venom, telling Katie she had no right to show her face in their home. The rejection was instant. The cruelty was palpable. But Katie did not flinch. She's a mother, and a mother defending her cub does not retreat. She stood her ground. She demanded to be heard. She looked directly at Eric, the man who had caught the brunt of Will's explosive rage. She opened her mouth to offer a sincere, heartbreaking apology for the accident that left the patriarch on the floor of the Bikini Bar. Eric did not want to hear it. The legendary designer looked at the youngest Logan sister with absolute disgust. He did not see a grieving mother. He did not see a woman trying to make things right. Eric opened his mouth and spat out a single, devastating word: degenerate. He called Will Spencer a degenerate right to Katie's face. The insult hit the room like a shockwave. It was a brutal, calculated strike aimed directly at a mother's heart. Katie's eyes widened. The shock quickly morphed into fierce, maternal defiance. She fired back, maintaining her original stance. The punch that dropped Eric was an accident. It was a chaotic brawl, a blind swing meant for someone else. She insisted that Will was sick to his stomach over what happened. He was not a monster. He was a young man spiraling, caught in the crossfire of a toxic family feud that the older generation had started. Katie pleaded with them to see the humanity in her son. She begged them to recognize that Will was hurting, that the violence was a symptom of a much larger, much darker disease infecting all of them. But the Forresters were deaf to her pleas. And the biggest betrayal came from her own blood. Donna Logan, the sister who always played the peacemaker, turned her back completely. Donna complained bitterly about Katie's son hitting her husband. She weaponized her tears, focusing entirely on Eric's pain, while completely ignoring the impossible bind Katie was in. Then, Brooke Logan stepped forward to deliver the kill shot. Brooke did not care about Will's remorse. Brooke did not care about the chaos of the brawl. She shifted her view of Katie entirely. In Brooke's eyes, Katie was no longer a mother trying to help her son. She was a traitor defending a criminal. Brooke's voice echoed through the mansion as she brought up R.J. Forrester. She reminded Katie that Will did not just hit Eric. Will had punched her son, R.J., not once, but twice. Brooke weaponized RJ's bruises to completely invalidate Katie's maternal loyalty. She framed Will as an unhinged menace and Katie as his chief enabler. Katie pivoted. She looked directly at RJ, who was standing in the room, watching the women tear each other apart. She looked RJ in the eye and issued a direct, heartfelt apology for what had unfolded in recent weeks. She owned it. She took the heat. She begged RJ and everyone else in the room to stop the war. She pleaded for a ceasefire before someone else got hurt, before the violence escalated into a tragedy they could never walk back from. But Brooke was already too far gone. Brooke refused to see that Katie was trapped. Katie was caught between protecting her only son and pleasing the tyrannical demands of her sisters. Brooke demanded a standard of allegiance that no healthy mother could ever deliver. She expected Katie to throw Will to the wolves. She expected Katie to disown her child's actions and bow to the Forrester throne. Katie explained that she was mortified by her son's attacks on RJ. She did not condone the violence. She was horrified by the fists being thrown. But she wanted to move on. She wanted peace. Brooke snapped. The matriarch of the Logan family completely lost her grip on reality. She reminded Katie that she started this war by launching her fashion house. She warned Katie, her eyes blazing with a terrifying intensity, that if Katie did not rein in her son, the Forresters would do it for her. Katie desperately tried to de-escalate. She pleaded to stop things before they spiraled completely out of control. She begged her sister to remember who they were. Brooke's response was an emotional guillotine. Brooke looked at her youngest sister with absolute, chilling disdain. She told Katie that she was no longer a part of their family. The words hung in the air, cold and unforgiving. Brooke declared that Katie had sold her soul to the Spencers. She was officially out, excommunicated, banished. Brooke made Katie choose between a sibling's massive ego and a son's well-being. And because Katie chose her son, Brooke severed their bloodline forever. This was not just a fight. This was emotional tyranny. Brooke, a mother who has defended her own children through scandals, crimes, and betrayals, suddenly suffered absolute amnesia when it came to Katie's maternal instincts. Brooke, of all people, should have understood what it is like to have a child acting out of character. She should have been the one person in that room to put her arm around Katie and help her navigate the nightmare. Instead, she penalized Katie's loyalty. She demanded an unnatural sacrifice. She demanded Katie abandon her defense of her child to serve the Forrester-Logan alliance. Katie stood alone in the center of the Forrester mansion, surrounded by enemies, abandoned by her sisters, insulted by Eric, threatened by Ridge. She realized in that exact moment that the sisterhood was dead. The bond that survived decades of drama, stolen husbands, and corporate takeovers was finally shattered. Katie might have enabled Will by not pushing back harder against his violence weeks ago. She might have played a role in the escalating tensions. But asking a mother to stop defending her child crosses the line from a family dispute to pure psychological warfare. Brooke's harsh ultimatum has done the impossible. It has inflicted more permanent damage on the Logan family than Will's fists ever could. Katie turned on her heel and walked out of the Forrester mansion. She did not look back. She did not shed a tear. She walked out knowing that the war was no longer just about fashion. It was about survival. Let's talk about the absolute, staggering hypocrisy of Brooke Logan Forrester. This is a woman who has spent decades demanding grace for her own children. When Rick Forrester was shooting at people, Brooke was right there, shielding him from the consequences. When Hope Logan makes catastrophic life choices, Brooke is the first one screaming that her daughter is a victim. But the second Katie's son makes a mistake, the second Will Spencer loses control in the middle of a feud that Brooke herself helped escalate, Brooke transforms into a ruthless judge, jury, and executioner. Brooke's selective memory is a masterclass in narcissistic manipulation. She completely erased her own history of maternal desperation the moment it was convenient for her to align with Ridge. She sacrificed her sister on the altar of the Forrester name. And what about Eric Forrester? The patriarch sitting in his sprawling mansion, nursing a bruised jaw and a bruised ego. Eric looking Katie in the eye and calling Will a degenerate is the pinnacle of Forrester arrogance. Let's rewind the tape. Eric Forrester has lied, cheated, and manipulated his way through Los Angeles for half a century. He abandoned Katie and Logan Designs in the blink of an eye the second Ridge whistled for him to come home. He publicly humiliated Katie on a live broadcast, branding her a thief to millions of viewers. Yet he sits there, wrapped in his velvet superiority, judging a young man who lashed out in a moment of chaotic rage. Will Spencer's punch was an accident. Eric's emotional abuse of Katie was entirely deliberate. Who was the real degenerate in that room? Katie absorbed that insult. She swallowed the venom because she was trying to be the bigger person. She was trying to save her son from a legal and public relations nightmare. She looked at R.J. Forrester, the golden boy, the anointed prince of Forrester Creations. R.J. stood there, watching his aunt plead for peace. Katie humbled herself. She apologized directly to R.J. for Will's actions. Did R.J. step up? Did R.J. accept the apology and act like the mature leader he claims to be? R.J.'s silence in that room was deafening. By standing behind his mother and Ridge, R.J. co-signed the excommunication of his own aunt. R.J. is playing a dangerous game. He wants to play the victim of Will's fists, but he is actively participating in the emotional slaughter of Will's mother. When Will finds out that R.J. stood by while Brooke and Eric verbally abused Katie, the physical altercations are going to look like a warm-up. Donna's betrayal cannot be ignored. Donna has always been the glue of the Logan sisters. The bubbly, forgiving, optimistic middle sister. But standing in that mansion, Donna made her choice. She chose the Forrester bank account and her husband's ego over her sister's bleeding heart. Donna complaining about Will hitting Eric was the final nail in the coffin of the Logan sisterhood. Katie realized in that agonizing moment that she had no allies left in that house. She was entirely surrounded by the enemy. Brooke's declaration that Katie sold her soul to the Spencers is a line that will echo through the halls of Forrester Creations for years to come. Brooke weaponized Katie's marriage to Bill. She weaponized Katie's love for her son. Brooke demanded that Katie publicly disown Will's actions. She demanded that Katie stop acting like a mother and start acting like a Forrester subordinate. But Katie is a Spencer now, and Spencers do not bow. When Katie walked out of those heavy oak doors, the temperature in Los Angeles shifted. The peacemaker is dead. The diplomat is gone. Katie is heading back to Spencer Publications, and she is bringing a declaration of war. She's going to walk into Bill Spencer's office, look him in the eye, and tell him exactly what Eric Forrester called her son. She's going to tell Bill that Ridge tried to throw her out. She's going to tell Bill that Brooke disowned her. Bill Spencer has been waiting for this exact moment. He has been gleefully watching the Forresters implode. He has been stockpiling ammunition, securing the Hope Diamond, recruiting Wyatt, and preparing to launch Logan Designs into the stratosphere. But now it is personal. It is no longer just about fashion dominance. It is about avenging the mother of his child. It is about destroying the people who made Katie cry. Bill Spencer's retaliation is going to be swift, brutal, and entirely merciless. He's going to unleash Will Spencer. He is going to hand Will the keys to the Spencer War Room and tell him to burn Forrester Creations to the ground. Will Spencer is already a walking stick of dynamite. He is furious, protective, and spiraling out of control. When he learns that his mother was ambushed and verbally assaulted by Brooke and Eric, his explosive temper is going to reach catastrophic new heights. R.J. Forrester better watch his back. Ridge Forrester better hire extra security. The Spencer men are coming, and they are not looking for an apology. They are looking for blood. Brooke Logan thought she was asserting dominance. She thought she was putting her little sister in her place. She thought her feral ultimatum would force Katie to surrender. Brooke was wrong, dead wrong. By stripping Katie of her Logan identity, Brooke has created a monster. She has forged a woman who is completely untethered from the guilt of family loyalty. Katie no longer has to worry about ruining holiday dinners. She no longer has to worry about breaking her sister's hearts, because her sisters just broke hers. The launch of Logan Designs is no longer just a business venture. It is a weapon of mass destruction aimed directly at the heart of the Forrester empire. Katie is going to use every single Spencer resource to humiliate Eric, bankrupt Ridge, and completely destroy Brooke's legacy. Brooke made Katie choose between a sibling's ego and a son's well-being. Katie chose son, and in doing so, she chose war. The fallout from this explosive confrontation is going to dominate our screens for months. Every single relationship is fractured. Every single alliance is broken. Let us break down the physical tension in the room one more time. Every breath, every glare, every shifted weight. When Brooke delivered her final ultimatum, the silence in the room was deafening. You could hear a pin drop on the Forrester hardwood floors. Ridge stood there, his arms crossed, his face a mask of stone, completely endorsing his wife's psychological warfare. Eric refused to even look at Katie as she left. The patriarch stared straight ahead, nursing his bruised jaw, completely devoid of empathy for the woman who had just poured her heart out. Donna nervously wrung her hands, shifting her weight from foot to foot, unable to meet Katie's devastated gaze. Donna knew she had just participated in a horrific betrayal, but she lacked the spine to stand up to Brooke and Ridge. And RJ watched the entire execution with a blank expression, absorbing the toxicity of his family and learning exactly how Forresters deal with their enemies. RJ's complicity in that moment guarantees that his feud with Will Spencer is going to end in absolute disaster. Katie's exit was a masterclass in silent defiance. She did not scream. She did not throw a tantrum like Brooke. She simply absorbed the absolute cruelty of her family, squared her shoulders, and walked out with her dignity completely intact. That silent exit is more terrifying than any screaming match. It signifies a cold, calculated shift in Katie's psychology. She is no longer reacting. She is planning. The Forrester family just handed Katie the ultimate motivation to destroy them. They stripped away her family title, but they forgot one crucial detail. They forgot that she is the mother of a Spencer, and Spencers always win. Will Brooke's feral ultimatum destroy the Forresters when the Spencers strike back? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and never miss a twist